Ready to get after it. Go ahead.
We talked some about the Vikings receiver duo the other day. Like, how much of this was thrown in with Trey out, Eli in, is why you prioritize depth in the secondary over the offseason?
Having to do with Minnesota?
Is this kind of why you prioritize depth in the secondary?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Different personnel packages, different guys are going to be called on, especially now with the 17-game season. And sometimes you're only as good as that starter who's maybe a backup, and he gets out there and guys go after him. So you want a guy who's a quality player there, and we feel like we have several of those guys that can fill in and hold their own out there and let the other guys do their jobs as well. So happy to have Eli, happy to have Darius, happy to have Jalen. A lot of those guys that give us depth. That's quality depth there. Joe Mixon, you're saying? Yeah, I think Joe's approach has been tremendous. He's been healthy now for the better part of the offseason and all summer, and so now he gets a chance to focus on doing all the things to be a complete player. He's been a great player in this league. And now that Gio is gone, it allows some of those responsibilities to bubble over to some of those other guys and divide them up. And you want Joe on third down because he can do a lot of great things in the pass game. And we still intend to throw him the ball on first and second down. There's no question about that. We did that a lot to him last year before he got hurt. He's one of the most targeted players in rushes and passes before he got hurt, And so we continue to do a lot more of that, and we feel really good about that stable of players that are there.
Zach, this roster is pretty significantly different from the one you took over. Is that just kind of the nature of the NFL, or is that consciously looking for your type of guy and the coaching staff's type of guy?
Well, yeah, I think that is a lot of the nature of the NFL. There's certainly a lot of guys that I have really high regard for that it just doesn't work for whatever reason. Age, money, depth at the position, whatever it is. And so, but again, I can just speak to this 2021 roster right now, and I feel great about it, and just talking to Joey Bose about his exposure in the weight room with these guys and who brings negative energy, who brings positive energy, who brings up the room, and there's not a guy that walks in there and sulks, because that's kind of when they're away from their coaches, and sometimes you can feel that some stuff, but just the vibe around the team's been really good, really positive energy. These guys are ready to go. We got 3 more days of good work, but their mentality is right now, and they're excited for this game on Sunday.
Joe was talking about how when he's approaching the line of scrimmage, he's got more of an expanded playbook in his mind. Have you seen that through practices and the short preseason reviews?
That's not all that different from last year. Joe right away kind of earned that right. We're not always trying to get to the best play possible. That's tough to do on a 40-second play clock and to do that every play. But if your quarterback is confident in something, get to it and make sure all 11 guys are on the same page. And it's going to work out more times than not. And again, it's not necessarily always what the coaches are confident in, because we might see something on tape, we might think it's great, somebody else ran it, we feel like it's going to be good. But the quarterback's the one that's really got to bring it to life in a lot of ways. And so if he feels the confident, he's earned the respect of this coaching staff and this team to have full control at the line of scrimmage and get to what he needs to get to.
You kind of talked about felt like you had more ownership of the game plan, playbook, as you guys went through the offseason. Did you notice that, and when did you kind of first pay attention to him kind of taking more ownership in that regard as well?
I think that's just more natural year 2 for any quarterback. You get in here and it's fast and furious, and yeah, you might have a great grasp of the passing game, but maybe not so much the run game and the complexities that come with that, the nuances. And so I think now just being for a year, just kind of sit back and watch it all from last year and really have a much better understanding. Not watching other quarterbacks do it on tape, Dalton or Finley or Goff, and all. You did it, and so now you just have a better understanding when you were there and present. Remember what the game plan was against the defense. It sits in a little bit better. So now he's had really 9 months to let that all soak in. You just become a more complete player that way. Any quarterback going into their second year, same system.
Did you notice that? Do you guys are the meetings longer when you guys planning with him now, or is there just a matter of the percentage of time he talks versus last year's higher, or where do you notice that?
There's only 24 hours in a day, so expand the meetings. These players won't be home at night, so we keep the same times, but I'd say that there's more a collaborative meeting schedule as we get together post practice and the meeting. Hey Joe, you get up here and you talk. What do you see? Here's what we installed. We put it in. Here's how it's run. Any nuances you want here from a receiver? He certainly, all those guys have the capability to stand up and do that, and Joe does a great job of that.
What's the difference between when you tell a receiver to run a route the right way and when Joe tells a receiver to run it the right way?
Well, we might not see it the same. There might be a nuance there that I'm too far separated from ever playing at any sort of level. that he sees differently. And so I think we got a tremendous amount of respect from the guys that we coach. They do it the way the coaches want it done. There's just some nuances on a stem at the top of a route that maybe Joe likes that we don't necessarily have a strong opinion on. Joe does. He's the one throwing. He needs that indicator. That comes up a lot, and certainly that's what you want. You know, I always sit here and say the quarterback is an extension of the coaching staff. And the great teams in this league that have great quarterback play, those guys drive the system and make it really come to life. And Joe certainly gives the offense a lot of energy and life.
Now that we've made it to games with Joe's ready to play, knowing everything he went through, do you have an appreciation as someone who's around him a lot, some of the coaches, and someone I'm sure has a relationship with, to see where he was to where he is now, and all the work he put in to be ready for this team?
I think sometimes you lose sight of that. You know, until this question gets asked, you're just living in each moment, day to day to day, and getting ready for the next day. And you forget to reflect back on the journey that some of these guys had coming off of injury. You forget about CJ in week 2 and DJ in week 6 or whatever that was. And, you know, we always focus on Trey and Joe because they were at the end of the season. But there's so many of these guys that fought through a lot of adversity. They had really long seasons and off seasons getting back. And so it is good to just kind of step back sometimes and appreciate where those guys have come and the level that they're playing at right now and what they've done to put themselves in that position. Other people help them, there's no question, but those guys have to have the mentality and the drive to get it done. And I think it just speaks volumes to the type of character that we have from the guys who are coming off of injury to put themselves in a position to really contribute here in week 1 for us.
Joe is a knack of taking the risk of contact in hopes of extending the play or maybe making a big play down the field. Do you have to temper that a little bit with him or talk to him about that later this year, especially coming off the injury?
There's a balance. A lot of it comes from experience. And that's, you know, this isn't a knock on any other quarterbacks I've had, but he really just has a knack for extending the play. That's just kind of been his MO his whole career. And so for me, it's just an adjustment to managing part of the reason you draft him is because of his extended playmaking ability, getting the ball down the field and scoring a lot of points and touchdowns. And you don't ever want to neuter that. You know, there's a lot of great quarterbacks that understand that maybe don't run a 4.5 40, but they understand the situations where it dictates it's okay to extend this play. Maybe a sack doesn't kill us. Maybe to the fans and everybody else, he got sacked. No. It's not always that way. There's situations where sacks are okay. You don't necessarily lose the points that are going up on the board. And it's worth it to try to make a 4-point play in the low red zone on 3rd down and hold it a little bit longer than normal. You see a lot of great quarterbacks that, again, like I said, don't run 4.5 40s that understand that, extend plays. Joe certainly has that capability. So there's just a fine balance there. He knows it's a long season. We want him healthy. He's got to manage that. We have to manage that. And you just kind of take each play as its own and coach him up from there.
What's it like for you knowing as part of the package that he's going to probably take 2 more hits on the quarterback and maybe have a better reward on the back end?
Yeah, it's just part of football. Quarterbacks get hit.
That part of that also is being big enough to extend a play, to break a tackle, and Roethlisberger, for instance, that's been doing that. I'm curious, he's put a big emphasis on being stronger this year,
Right.
bigger, tougher, whatever. Is that part of maybe his strategy? Is if I'm going to extend plays, I have to be stronger?
Well, I think that's the quarterback play strength in the pocket, just pulling through a lot of guys grabbing you with one. Oftentimes they're blocked and they get one hand on you, and just not the ability for them to bring you down that easily or gently. So to have that lower body strength, just that core strength for him to be able to pull through, it's wise for a quarterback to focus on that because that does help you extend some plays where otherwise if you don't have that strength, you go down a little easier. And so
Is that
that's all I got there.
You noticed about Joe when you coached him last year? I didn't see this necessarily wasn't focused on it, his ability to extend a play.
No, I saw it a lot. There's times I yelled at him, throw the ball away, and he didn't, and he got us big plays. You know, he makes several guys miss or makes the same guy miss like 3 times in a row. And my instinct is get rid of the ball, get us the next play, and he finds T down the sidelines for a huge play. And so there's just a give and take there. You know, that's part of what Joe Burrow brings to the table. And I know it bothers defenses. They don't like quarterbacks that extend plays and play off rhythm sometimes, and that's a great quality that he has.
It wasn't a huge sample.
Oh, sorry, I'll hit you, Jeff, and then I'll come back to you.
It wasn't a huge sample, but I don't think Joe Williams gave up the pressure in the preseason. Do you see a guy that's ready to take a significant step forward?
I do. I think it's really the first string of an offseason and a training camp where Jonah's just got the work at left tackle in the same system, and you know, so I have seen a lot of progress from Jonah. Sometimes you just don't mention his name for a long time. Him and Riley both. That's a really good thing. So we don't sit up here and talk about him too much. That's good that you guys aren't asking a lot of questions because he's out there doing his job, and that's what we expect from Jonah and Riley. And so that's just a really good tandem to have out there at tackle.
When you have so much time, the game plan turn over. Can you overthink it? Can the game plan get stale? Is your first thought your best thought? How do you approach it?
You have to be smart about that. It's more so what we give to the players early on in the process last week, just giving it small doses. Maybe you don't tell them this is for Minnesota, this is just a new package we're putting in or a new defense we're putting in, and they just run it against our defense or offense. And then as they get to this week, oh, shoot, we were already ahead on the game plan because this was more Minnesota-based. I think that our coaches have done a great job with the right amount of preparation. I mean, Brian Callahan's one of the best in the business of grinding through tape and being ready for all situations and keeping us as a staff on our toes. And so, again, we'll be really prepared on Sunday, and we're excited for the opportunity.
You got to think back to last year's opener, that last drive, and you guys pull that out. I mean, how impact of the rest of the season?
I could go all day if I thought that way, with all these games. We do look back at that situation and, how did we utilize our timeouts in the second half? I could tell you all those situations where we put in the timeout. Some of them we should have, some of them we shouldn't have. And maybe you got another timeout there. And so those are how I look back at that situation. It's not necessarily what if. It's more just how did we manage that half? How did we manage that drive? What can we learn from it to help us this year?
But what if?
It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
We've asked you a lot about Shamar recently, but Joe said T. Higgins is a player who thinks it's time for a breakout year. How have you seen T progress and maybe what is he doing better this year at this time?
T has always been very confident since he got here in his own abilities. I think now he's more confident because he's been through a whole NFL season and he knows what's going to be thrown at him. He knows the type of competition he's going to face, the elevated steps he's got to make in his game coming from Clemson to the NFL. He's done a remarkable job attacking that in this offseason, getting in great shape, playing really fast on every single snap and consistent, going up and making plays down the field. You really saw that on the backstretch last season because he struggled with that early on, really before the bye. And then you look at the games in the last stretch of the season, he was making every 50-50 play, whether it was inbounds or out of bounds. He went up and made that play. And so we've seen a lot of progress with T. I think the guy that goes unspoken is Tyler Boyd. He just goes out there and makes the plays, and everyone sees it. And it's not always 80-yard touchdowns on the field, but he has been as consistent as any receiver I've ever been around in my life this training camp. And he's a guy that Joe, I know, has an extremely high degree of confidence in. We all do as a staff. It's just he kind of goes unnoticed sometimes because we talk about the first-round pick. We talk about the second-round guy that is in his second year and had a great end of the season. But TB is as consistent as a player, and that shows why he was a captain. He wasn't a captain our first year or even last year, but just how much I've seen him grow as a professional. Not that he was ever negative in any way, but he truly has become a captain that's earned that right. He's consistent every day. He's exactly what we're looking for. And it's critical to have that type of leadership in the receiver room.
Why is Logan Wilson the right linebacker for the middle of the defense?
Extremely smart, fast, physical, can diagnose plays very quickly, fights to get the ball out on every snap, every opportunity he has. He's not a big rah-rah yeller and screamer. He doesn't have to be. We don't need that from him. He just has to be consistent and be a really good communicator. There's not a lot of negatives to Logan Wilson. He's in his second year, but he plays way above that, and that's what's really been impressive with him.
If there's one thing you think is going to make the biggest difference on Sunday, it's the outcome.
Turnovers. Week 1, turnovers. That's every game of the season, but turnovers. You got to win the turnover battle in week 1. Have to.
Why isn't it pronounced this week and maybe week 8?
Well, there's you'd like your team to walk out there totally confident and ready to go. To say all 53 players feel that exact same way, there's always nerves and anxiety, and so you have to eliminate those MAs, especially in the first half, in the first game of the season. You have to be, it's guys catching the ball in traffic maybe for the first time, or carrying the ball down the field for the first time, or quarterback in the pocket for the first time. And so again, it's just that's why you really got to ramp up the ball security drills and the emphasis on our defense, and that's a big part of the game.
How big a part of being complementary, which you mentioned the other day, is the run game? The run game?
Yeah, it starts with the run game. That's where this whole thing starts. The complements come off of that, and again, if you want to be an explosive team down the field, whether it be drop back, whether it be play action screens, nakeds, you got to have an efficient running game. And we've kind of been a roller coaster there lately, and so that's an important emphasis for us. It doesn't mean we're going to walk out there and run the ball 60 times in a game, but it just means that you have to be efficient on the runs that you do call for them to respect that, for it to open up all the other things that come off of that.
Let me ask you about the tournament game. You ever think about when Andy was a fumble in the ring in week 1?
Against Seattle down in the red zone?
The last 2 years are different?
Yeah, I mean, again, you just go back and revisit every turnover, every timeout you called, and those last two season openers. And again, those are just the things that we have to continue to learn from our experiences. And I try to spend time with Joe, even if he wasn't here, talking through things as a play caller and a head coach that I thought I did well and things I didn't think I did well, because I need him to think that same way. And he's going to be in the situation on the field, having to process sometimes in the moment. The more that we can think similarly, situationally, the better. And so again, that's part of just that meeting time, is spending it with him and making sure that he sees it like the coaches do in all areas of the game.
How important is that for him to see that kind of, I guess, level of vulnerability and kind of transparency out of his head coach to be willing to admit?
Well, we just want the Cincinnati Bengals to win, and I don't care who's responsible for it. It does not matter. We want the city to be excited. Our team is certainly excited, and we wanted the team and the stadium to match that enthusiasm that we have. And so that is going to be critical for us in week 1. And we have to give this city and this stadium something to cheer about. But we need that to come from them week 1. Pack this stadium, be as loud as possible. There was very limited fans in the stands last year. So teams going on silent cadence was not a thing last year. Nobody had to do it. So you're practicing it for the first time this year in a lot of ways. And so for us to get a home opener week 1 with hopefully a fully packed stadium being as loud as they can possibly be on the first, third, and 7th of the game, that means something that we were missing last year, probably missing at the later part of the first year because we didn't win enough games. But it's 2021. It's a new year. We got a new team. Our guys are fired up. We're going to be ready to play. We're going to give the fans something to cheer about. We need them to show up and be loud right from the get-go and match our enthusiasm, because we're going to be excited.
I assume you saw the gritty with Justin Jefferson last year. It was actually Jamar Chase who started that. Joe Burrow told us. Jamar told me that he wants to score first so he can gritty first. Would you be willing to take your bets on Jamar's gritty being better than Justin's?
I don't spend a lot of time thinking about the gritty. That's all I can say, I think.
Kind of on the topic we were just talking about, is there a game last season you took the most away from that maybe you thought about than the others?
Which game?
Win or loss?
All of them. Really all of them. There's stuff to learn from every single game that we got to get better at.
One more question.
Roger, I know you got to get through this week's practices. Knock on wood, everybody stays injury-free and healthy. Is the activation pretty easy, or is it a tough situation to decide?
The guys that are inactive. That's something we'll decide later on the week. We got a pretty good feeling where that's going to be. It's not too complex going into week 1 with really just Trey Wayne's the only injured guy. So, but as the season goes, it usually gets a lot more complex.
All right. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.